With every step, God is holding me. Good morning to our Facebook family that is joining us, and also to our YouTube family that would be joining us. Welcome home to the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome home to your wholeness. Welcome home to your greatness. Welcome home to the essence of who you are. Our topic for this morning is living in the question, a higher idea. And we're continuing with our annual theme of timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. This will be our overarching theme for the year of 2021. And this month, we're specifically looking at possibilities, being open to possibilities, being open to that infinite expression of spirit, that creative expression of spirit that lives in and through and as us. And today, our emphasis will be on visioning. In fact, the entire month will be focused on visioning as a spiritual practice. Before we get into that, I want to do just a little personal share with you. I put this in my category of forever learning and my internet discovery. I don't know about any of you, but sometimes I go onto the internet looking for something, and then that takes me on a discovery journey. I wind up going around the world and sometimes forget what I actually went on there for. However, I was looking for the significance of days within the month of March so that I can make sure that I include those within the talks and the writing, the readings and the music that is selected. And one source I found, and some of you may be familiar with it, is the website calendar.com, and it's spelled Calendarr, calendar.com. And it has the listing for 2021 for each day of the week, for each day of the year. And so today is National Be Heard Day. How about that? National Be Heard Day, celebrated on March 7th. And it is the occasion for small business owners and aspiring business owners to make their voices heard. And we know that the foundation of our country is built on small businesses and the success of small businesses. And we are encouraged, especially during these times of pandemic, to really support our local small businesses. So this is the day for small businesses small business owners to stand up for themselves and their ideas and claim their share of the marketplace. And so the opportunity then is to use National Be Heard Day as your inspiration to draft out that business plan, to write out your communication strategy, and to set the groundwork to get your big ideas growing around the world. Who knows? You could be the next Oprah or the next Mark Zuckerberg or any of the other giants that are recognized in the big playing field. Remember, they started small. So we start with what we have, we bless what we have, and we watch it grow. We work with the Spirit to watch it grow. And this is a perfect segue into our topic this morning, living in the question, a higher idea. Living in the question, a higher idea. This month, as I shared earlier, we open to the highest idea of our lives through the practice of spiritual visioning. We open to the impress or the divine download of spirit through visioning, and this allows us to tap into the realm of possibilities, which are much greater than we can even begin to imagine for ourselves. We're tapping into those infinite possibilities, this divine download that allows us to expand and to be all that we are designed to be. And I put in a personal invitation right here for each one to join us, the Monterey Center, on Saturday mornings at 10:30 for our weekly visioning practice, where we gather and vision for the Monterey Center. It's an exciting time, it's a fun time, and we are just marveling at the revelations and the synchronicity that is developing among the team. We welcome you to join us. The Zoom link is in our newsletter, and so this is an opportunity, if you haven't done so, to sign up for our newsletter. So that's my selfless plug for our center. Our Centers for Spiritual Living Global Vision states that we see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively, we are called to a higher state of consciousness and awareness. And this vision statement is the outcome of our organization's practice of spiritual visioning. This is what we are grounded in. And this is what drives our organization, and it drives our lives. In many faith traditions, we hear the phrase direct revelation. In fact, we say it in our statement of what we believe. We believe in the direct revelation of truth. For Science of Mind, direct revelation is the knowingness that each one of us is an individualized expression of the one reality. The one reality is just another name that we use to identify the nameless. The one infinite reality is God, or whatever word resonates with you as the infinite source of all that there is. Divine revelation recognizes that we have access to the infinite wisdom and intelligence of God. This infinite reality flows through us, as us, to the degree that we set aside our previous ideas about life. This is the key. This is one of the key elements of being open to direct revelation, which is also included in the spiritual practice of visioning. And that is to set aside our previous ideas about life and become aware and conscious of the inner voice of this infinite reality. Direct revelation is made possible to us through our intuition and can be intentionally cultivated through visioning. Visioning consciously opens us up to be receptive by listening for what wants to emerge from within, emerge into form or physical manifestation without any preconceived ideas or limitations. In other words, we do not attempt to manipulate the vision with our individual ideas and intentions. Visioning, like spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, has a specific methodology which can be used individually or in a group. Visioning may also be done informally, and we'll reveal more of this as we go through the month. In our Science of Mind teaching, we know there's only one power, one presence, the one source and back of all things. Knowing there is only one life, this life must be who I am. And for those of you who have a fine-tuned ear, will recognize this as the realization and the unification statement of spiritual mind treatment, the first two steps of our spiritual mind treatment. We know there's one power, one presence, and one source in back of all things. And in knowing that there is only one life, I know that this life must be who I am. Therefore, I can allow the infinite wisdom to express through me by living in the question, what is Spirit's highest vision of itself for me? What is Spirit's highest vision of itself for me? Living from this place of curiosity and remaining open, we are willing to receive Spirit's highest vision for itself, expressing through any situation that allows us to live and act from a place of divine guidance. Remember, we're not attempting to manipulate anything. We're opening for divine guidance, for direct revelation to reveal itself by living in the question, what is Spirit's highest vision of itself for me? In our Science of Mind textbook on page 146, Ernest Holmes writes this: the creative power of mind is right here. We have as much of this power to use as we can believe in and embody. The storehouse of nature is filled with infinite good, awaiting the touch of our awakened thought to spring forth into manifestation in our lives. So this creative mind that lives and expresses through us that which we have access to, we're an inlet and an outlet to the power of this creative mind. This is a storehouse that is filled with infinite good and is awaiting the touch of our awakened thought to spring forth into manifestation in our lives. And I offer the following examples of spiritual visioning. First, there is a distinction and a difference between the practice of visioning and visualization. We can visualize only what we already know. And I equate that to those of us who may be in the business sector or in other situations where we have a project plan. A project plan is an example of visualization. We have an end goal in mind, a specific goal in mind. And then using the steps, sometimes we begin with the end in mind and then back up and fill in the markers of the steps along the way that allow us to achieve that goal. That is a practice of visualization. We have a specific outcome in mind. There's specific content, there's specific actions, there's specific activity that has to be taken in order to achieve that goal. In visioning, it is the exact opposite, if you will. Visioning is a receptive state where we open to catch the vision for our life outside of our current awareness and understanding of ourselves. So there's no scripted plan that we are aiming for in the practice of visioning. Yes, we may set an intention for a specific project or specific activity. I'll talk more about this. The Monterey Center for Spiritual Living is celebrating its 70th anniversary as a spiritual community in February of next year. And we're beginning to formulate some ideas about that celebration. You know, what it is going to look like, who are we going to invite, how are we going to decorate our beautiful space, even bringing more beauty into the space, all of that goes in. That is one aspect of visualization. Moving away from that, the specifics of the outcome, keeping the big picture in mind, we will engage in the process of visioning, opening to what is being called forth from within each individual. We're stepping outside of our current awareness, and we're moving into a receptive state to catch the vision for what this anniversary celebration may look like. This is one example that I offer to you. Living in the question invites us to listen to and from a different place, beyond the egoic mind or the surface mind or the human mind or the carnal mind, whatever we want to call it. We move beyond that and we open to that which is seeking to express in and through and as us. And we surrender to the process by opening to receive the gifts of the universe. Visualization is asking the universe for what we want. Visioning opens us up to receive the fullness of life that we are. I'll say that again. Visualization is asking the universe for what we want. Visioning opens us to receive the fullness of life that we are. Again, from our Science of Mind textbook, from the chapter, The Power Within, on page 146, Ernest Holmes writes this: through spiritual discernment, we see that we have within us a power which is greater than anything we shall ever contact, a power that can overcome every obstacle in our experience. The second illustration that I offer is curiosity as a way of being. Questions open us up to something that is new. Questions open us up to something that is new. And so in the visioning process, we are inviting curiosity as a way of being for how we live in the question. What is Spirit's highest idea for my life? We learn through curiosity to remain open to experience a shift of perspective, a new awareness, a heightened experience of life. And along with curiosity, we must include trust. And I invite you, if you haven't done so, to read today's guide in our Science of Mind magazine. Eugene Holden, who is the writer for the guides for this month, offers a very clear line of thinking and reasoning about how trust and curiosity go hand in hand. And again, quoting from our Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes writes, when we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy, prosperous, and well. And this is on page 33 in our textbook. When we learn to trust the universe, or to trust the process, as we often say, we shall be happy, prosperous, and well. In visioning, we break away from what we think we know and desire, and we invite something greater from within to guide us. And again, we do not attempt to manipulate the visioning process. We are willing to be surprised by what we discover about ourselves, recognizing that everything is for our learning and growth. And I can just share from my own personal experience of visioning, there are some really ahas and surprises in there that reveal themselves for me. So be open to the surprise, be willing to discover more about God's highest idea for our individual selves. In visioning, we're willing to be more interested in our spiritual growth than advocating for our limitations. And this is another one of the subtle differences between visualization and visioning. In visualization, we are often caught up or bound to the limitations, and we may look for ways to work around the limitations. In visioning, we don't argue for our limitations. We open to our spiritual growth, which is limitless, which is very powerful. And I share this from Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. When our thoughts and actions begin to align with the imperatives of our soul, we enroll the full support of the universe. Unimagined possibilities begin to open up as we synchronize with the divine. When our thoughts and actions begin to align with the imperatives of our soul, we enroll the full support of the universe. Unimagined possibilities begin to open up as we synchronize with the divine. And this is from a presentation that Dr. Michael offered via the Shift Network. And a third illustration of living in the question or visioning is collective evolution. You may ask, or we may ask, what is it all for? What is this process all for? We use the term collective evolution to mean moving beyond the conditioned thinking of scarcity, fear, and separation. Remember what Ernest Holmes offered us? When we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy, prosperous, and well. Well, in the collective evolution, we recognize that we move beyond the conditioned thinking of scarcity, fear, and separation. And by doing this, we allow ourselves to tap into cosmic consciousness, that which is above and beyond the intellect. By doing so, we catch Spirit's highest vision for our lives and our part in the evolution of humanity. Remember, we are here to serve one another, and we're here to be a part of the evolution, the conscious evolution of humanity, creating a world that works for everyone, a world where everyone is provided with all of the necessities of life, a world where everyone is free to dream big, to experience their vision, to see their vision come to life, to see the vision for this magnificent world that we are blessed to live in, to be a place of harmony and unity and trust and confidence and safety, all of the things that we aspire to individually. The entire world aspires to the same thing. We may approach it from a different venue or a different perspective. And yet, when we sift through all of the dogma, when we sift through all of the drama, when we sift through all of the distractions, and we get down to the lowest common denominator, we are all here for the same thing, and that is to be well, to be happy, to be abundant, to be in peace, and to be in harmony. We are called in such a time as this to awaken to the humanity of our spiritual significance. And as we awaken to the humanity, as we awaken to our spiritual magnificence, we awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. We are here to be a part of the collective evolution and awakening. And I share this from James Allen in the book, As a Man Thinketh. And this is in chapter 6, Visions and Ideals. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at least unveil. Dreams are the seedlings of realities. Dreams are the seedlings of realities. And so in concluding this morning, I remind us that visioning is a powerful practice that leads us on this journey to awakening, to infinite possibilities, by revealing the beloved community and consciously creating a world that works for everyone. And so we ask a higher question. We live in a state of curiosity, and we remain open to the possibilities to experience a life beyond our wildest imaginations that work in alignment with the highest good for all. And so our call to action is to dream big. Dream big, and as you dream big, ask, what is Spirit's highest vision of itself as me? And our affirmation that we carry through this week is, my life is the embodiment of Spirit's highest idea of itself as me. My life is the embodiment of Spirit's highest idea of itself as me. Let us pray together. And so, resting in the awareness that there is only one life, that life is God's life, and that life is my life now. That life is whole, perfect, and complete. And as this is true for me, I affirm it, I declare it, and I know it for each one that is a part of this community a part of this consciousness that is known as the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. Whether you are joining us via Zoom, whether you're joining us on Facebook, or whether you're viewing this on YouTube, wherever you are, whatever time you may be experiencing this, just know that there's only one life, and that life is God's life, and that life is each life. It is our life. It is my life. It is your life. It is the life of all that there is. And so I speak my word this morning for our global community. I am declaring peace and harmony and collaboration and cooperation and equality for all people, knowing that the one life is expressing itself individually through each and every person. And that the goal of this life is to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature. And we can do this. We can do this. We do this through the practice of visioning, one of the tools that we have at our disposal. We ask the question, what is God's highest vision of itself for me? And I know that as we sit in the question, as we live in the question, as we breathe the question, as we embrace and embody the question, we're open to the divine expression of spirit, revealing itself in magnificent and marvelous ways. And so in the whisper, in what is known as a still small voice, in the signs that appear, however they appear, we open and we attune to the life of God, living and expressing itself in and through each individual. I bless spiritual places. I bless churches. I bless temples. I bless synagogues. I bless all places where people are gathering in the name and nature of the one, recognizing that there are many paths that ultimately lead to this place that we call home. And that is a place of peace and joy and prosperity and abundance and happiness. And all of the elements of life that are included in between that. I speak my word this morning, a blessing for everyone who is experiencing a transition in life. However that transition may be showing up, I'm knowing that in the midst of that transition, in the midst of the grief, in the midst of the illness, in the midst of the sorrow, in the midst of the sadness, in the midst of the joy, in the midst of the excitement, in the midst of the happiness, the essence of God is right there. Because wherever God is, I am, you are, we are. And so we're all on this journey together, this journey of awakening ourselves to the Spirit of God that is living and moving and expressing itself in and as and through us. I speak a word of blessing this morning for those who are experiencing health challenges, knowing that the divine idea is wholeness. And so always remembering that in the mind and the nature of God, in the mind and nature of spirit, that we're all whole, perfect, and complete. And as we go through this experience of life, living this human experience, we remember that we are spiritual beings and that this is just one stop along the pathway that is called eternal life. And so I am affirming wholeness and wellness and prosperity and abundance, an abundant life for all. And so for this, for the prayers that remain in our hearts, for the prayers that have been expressed to a practitioner, the prayers that have been expressed to a confidant, for this and so much more, I give thanks. I release this word, I release this service, I release this time together into the action and the activity of the law, which always says yes to whatever our request is. And I just allow it to be so. And I affirm this by saying, and so it is. And so it is time now for us to engage in our spiritual practice of the law of circulation. In other words, as we would say in the old church, it's offering time. And so our affirmation of abundance is, I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. I release this visible substance as an outer symbol of my inner supply into the physical world. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And we thank you, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you for the way that you continue to support our spiritual community. And you may mail a check to our mailing address, which is shown on your screen. You may make a secure donation to our website, which is also shown on your screen, or you may text to give, and the number for that is shown on our screen. And know that we practice intentional stewardship. We practice intentional stewardship of the resources that come to us. And we participate in the law of circulation by tithing out to our own local community. We tithe to the sources that provide spiritual growth and spiritual nourishment, both in physical form and in spiritual form, to our greater community. So thank you for your participating in the law of circulation that allows us to participate in the law of circulation. And so with deep, deep gratitude, we say good morning to our Facebook Live and our YouTube family that have joined us. We invite you to return next week. We will continue our series for the month, Opening to Possibilities, and the theme is Release and Let Go. Thank you and good morning.